Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and a very good day to everyone attending this webinar today. It's really awesome to have you attend this. Now, very quickly, my name is Ehizoje Obawaiki. I'm an academic advisor here at Eaton Business School. It's a normal routine for us to talk about our offerings at the Eaton Business School. Now, Eaton Business School offers a couple of programs ranging from executive MBA programs to postgraduate diplomas, professional diplomas, and the doctorate in business administration, DBA, for working professionals, of course, and busy executives. We have more than 1,000 learners and 700 plus active learners at as students presently, or learners as the case may be. You know, this includes C-level executive, middle management, entrepreneurs, and very successful professionals pursuing their executive learning from over 88 countries across the world. EBS, as an acronym, we also ensures, we enhance learning journeys, and we do this by engaging professionals, engaging faculties, and engaging all interested parties in the journey to learning and achieving greatness in terms of education and career upliftment. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and professionals alike, it is my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's webinar. It's a great pleasure to introduce Mr. Anshuman Anand. Anshuman is a dynamic and intuitive leader with over 20 years of experience within the retail industry and currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of RMP in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He is also the Vice President of Apparel Group and a member of the Forbes Business Council. Anshuman started his career on the top floor with an entrepreneurial mindset and a vision for rapid growth. Over the years, he has developed a global understanding of the retail and wholesale ecosystem, mass markets, apparel, sportswears, and high street retail market. He has a track record for delivering ambitious and strategic goals while consistently adapting to maximize shareholders' revenue. Interestingly, he's an engineer by education and a retailer by passion. Anshuman holds an MBA with a Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Communication. Awesome experience, you might say. These achievements in the industry are impressive, having taken sketches in the GCC from 20 to 200 stores and contributing to 10 times growth in just 3 years. Wow, this is awesome if you would ask me. He had a significant role in developing or growing Skechers as the #1 sports brand by achieving the highest attainable brand position in the GCC and South Africa retail industry. An awesome profile, you might say. But in today's webinar, you have the opportunity to meet Mr. Anshuman. He will share with us his expertise on overcoming internal challenges and driving change in this digital age. Believe you me, everybody is eager for change, whether in your career, whether in finances, or in business. He's going to be sharing with us the role a company's culture goes in driving digital transformation and innovation. And he's going to be providing some recommendations for creating a culture of innovation that supports successful digital transformation. He will also explore the reasons that people may resist change and provide strategies for addressing these obstacles. I can't wait to listen to our special guest today. Anshuman's holistic approach to influencing bold investment decisions which results in growth opportunities has proven successful And we are fortunate to have him share his insight with us today. So all attendees, friends, prospect, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, which I think you should have, or need clarifications, you need to write in the Q&A sections down there, and be rest assured that he will answer them towards the end of the section. Let us all join this enriching webinar right now. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anshuman Anand. Mr. Anshuman, it's up to you now. Welcome and thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
That was a very inspired introduction. And,
thank you.
I just wanted to check with Barija. Barija, do you have the presentation that you can upload from your end? Because I'm facing a bit of an issue with the Zoom link.
Yes, this can be done. Just give me a couple of minutes. I will load it to you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, before that is done, I want us to please use the Q&A section, please write down questions as advisors, please. I know we all want change by all means necessary. This is an opportunity for us to ask questions regarding change in this digital age. Thank you so very much.
And also, if you want my video, then you have to give me the access to start my video. Or I'm okay either ways. Okay, now that we are all set. Thanks for the very kind introduction. And as you know, I'm Anshuman, and I have some experience at various stages in managing change, managing growth. So let's talk about change. There are several types of changes that one has to experience. It starts from individual. It can be company or institutional, network. Industry might change. Social and economic changes might happen, and an era might change. Now, today we live in if we were talking about this in the last century, say, we would say an era would last 100 years. But let me put this in context for all of us. If you were to ask my kids, they don't know a world that was before iPhone. And hence for them, probably the era is not before Christian era or after Christian era, but it is before iPhone era or after iPhone era. If we look at the things as they are, we might be experiencing a new definition of era: before ChatGPT era, after ChatGPT era, And every individual needs to change at the same speed today as the technology changes. It is very, very important. Sorry, Barija, you don't have that slide, or it's not changing for me. The slide number 3, please. So,
Okay.
so yeah, thanks. So, so we have to get that context right. Today, change is far more rapid than it was. But just for the context, and we will get into more details later. Why change? The next slide, please. So change can be because of 4 multiple reasons. There is a new business model, process and technology has changed, merger and acquisition has happened, supply chain has reorganized, our people and culture have changed. Like I said, Chat GPT is going to make so many businesses and redundant, because we would not need someone to do that work for us anymore. Something like autonomous flying is going to make a completely reorganized supply chain. I know for sure that companies like FedEx, etc., are looking at experimenting with pilotless aircrafts. Taxis, as we know, will not exist in a small time to come. So there is a reason to change from every level. Next slide, please. So there are several steps to change, and this is very, very important for us to understand as an organization, as a leader, when we run an organization. Change starts with discovery. Then falls right decision makers. Then the whole organization has to be integrated into change management process. What technology you expect to bring about change, and then is the strategy. And as they say, strategy without execution and operations is noise before the defeat. So if I was to talk about this process, maybe a few years ago, even 3 years, 4 years ago, I would have put strategy much before technology. But today, technology is the base of your strategy, and hence it is important for us to be able to identify what technology we want to bring into to execute the change. Moving on to the next slide, just very quickly, everyone understands. Sorry, next slide, please. Everyone understands that change is important, but there are many reasons why organizations fail in change. One of the biggest reason is that there's no clear focus from the organization. Then organizations are always revisiting opportunities as they have started the process of change. If you would look at the previous slide, we said that everything has to be finalized before we move to execution step. And then there is partial or passive resistance towards involvement in the change of the employees. So these are the reasons why organizations fail to change. And as we talk here right now, we are thinking that change is a big new word that has to come into an organization strategy. But what I would like to see you to read on the next slide as it comes up, that transformation or change is not an option, it's part of life. Imagine if a butterfly was stuck to its egg phase or cocoon phase, it has to move on with its all different stages to to grow into a beautiful butterfly and fly away. So change is not a strategy. It has to be part of culture. Like we'll see in the upcoming slide, an organization has to embrace the culture of change. And all of you would know this very famous saying from Peter F. Drucker: culture eats strategy for breakfast. So what is it about culture that one needs to keep in mind if one has to execute change? Let's look at what defines culture. So any organization's culture, it has three very, very strong elements: leaders' values, employees' values, and what all organizations striving for change forget: customers' values. And that becomes the strategic corporate culture. And somewhere in the process of change, every organization in the hurry to change forgets one or more of these circles. And that is why a lot of time we fail to change. Let's look at what happens when an organization fails to change. Let's look at some of the brands that failed to change. Do I need to go into details of any one of these brands? No. We know that each one of them. Look at Xerox. Xerox is almost synonymous with photocopying. Or Nokia. The Nokia tune was an esteem a few years back. We don't get to hear it. It has been silenced forever. One very specific example that I would like to give you is of Kodak. It is very, very important to understand what killed Kodak. A lot of people talk about Kodak being killed by digital photography. But I am very, very clear that Kodak was not killed by digital photography. The customer, remember the three circles? The value of customers' value changed here. The way customers were clicking pictures changed. Earlier, pictures were for storage. Now, pictures was for pictures were being taken for social media. So suddenly, from clicking high quality images, which Kodak was trying to deliver through its digital camera, people were okay with clicking pictures or to less than 1 GB pictures on their Nokia phones, as long as they could upload or share it on social media. Hence, Kodak wasn't killed by another photographer, camera maker. Kodak was killed by mobile phones. So you see, the customers' value changed the entire organization and made an organization extinct. Sometimes change is very, very is a beautiful word. We speak so much about change all the time, thinking that organizations that don't change perish. But surprise, the business pathway is littered with names of brands that change too fast and fail. Let me give you an example in the next slide. Next one, please. We talk here of JCPenney. Look at the logo that JCPenney had. JCPenney was synonymous with American coupon collector housewives. The brand went through numerous change. Every iteration made it worse than before. And then they hired the famous retail operations head from Apple, Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson changed the logo, marketing strategy, pricing model, brand selection. And most damningly, he eliminated coupons and discounts. But what did he eliminate ultimately? The business. It's a beautiful example of how changing too much without knowing your customer or in this case, even the leader's value. JCPenney was founded for a customer that was extremely values conscious by a group of people who themselves were extremely value conscious. And I encourage all of you to get onto the Harvard website and read Ron Johnson's case on change. It is one of the most damning case on changing without keeping your core values, core culture in mind. So before we move ahead, and I would like to spend some time on organizational culture as well, but it is very, very important to know, why are we changing? Who are we changing for? Who will drive the change? Who's in charge of the change? Otherwise, change is a sexy word that can destroy the business over a period of time. Let's look at what is culture. So an organizational culture has a beautiful framework which can be divided into on flexibility and discretion, stability and control, external focus and differentiation, internal focus and integration. And where it is very important for whichever organization that you're leading or whichever business you are leading, it is very important for you to know where your organization or the business stands on this matrix. It is a very critical matrix, and without knowing this, one is definitely going to fail. So these two, I would encourage you to look at these slides and understand if your organization is market driven, is it hierarchy driven, clan driven, or it believes in ad hoc steps. Also, if you look on the right, what is your guide to corporate culture? Dependence, interdependence being the axis, flexibility and stability being the axis. Are you a caring organization? Are you a learning organization? Are you a safety organization? Are you an authority organization? Knowing who you are will help you understand how you can bring about change. Most of the times, lack of understanding on who you are is the reason why most organizations fail. So if you want me to sum it up in one word, one sentence, next slide, please. Can I get the next slide? A fundamental change in organizational logic is always caused by shift in behaviors. It is very important for you to understand, once you've understood your customer, that what are the behavioral aspects that drive people to change. What is the reason that they will be motivated for change? Without that understanding, change is just a buzzword. In parting, just one more slide to help you organize your thoughts on how to bring in change. And what we need to understand is, when strategy meets culture, that is the zone in which the magic happens. So what are your organization's mission, vision, and most importantly, values? Mission and vision, a lot of times are a buzzword. Every organization has a mission or a vision, but have you evaluated them? Are your missions aligned with long-term visions, and are your values that support your mission and vision? So strategy is always about goals, objectives, and activities, and culture is always about values, practices, and behaviors. When you align your strategy with culture, you will get a result that would drive change. But for that, all leaders have to step back and look at what their basic organizational culture is. Once you've got your organizational culture in place, it would be easy for all of us to drive change and that is when the magic happens. I think I've spoken enough. If you, I'll be open to questions and then dive deeper into any one of these theories that you would like me to go into greater details with. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much for that insightful conversation, and I want to be sure that the most of the issues talked about were precise and clear, and I'm expecting to have a couple of questions from everyone that has participated or that have listened to you, and I want to thank you. Though I have one or two questions to ask you after the presentation, I think let us take a look at our Q&A section. I think we have a question here already. If it's fine, I think I could just read it so that you can provide an answer to the question. Okay, the first question says, on technology, how do you see generative AI unfolding? On technology, how do you see generative AI folding? That's the first question, and it's coming from Ramesh. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
So you know, AI is the buzzword, and it is very difficult for my guess on where AI is going is as good as yours. Honestly, I am at loss at this moment to predict where it is going. However, from my experience, I would definitely like to comment on what has happened whenever a new technology has come. Whenever a new technology comes in, the initial period, the expectation is very high from the technology, and everyone believes that that technology will change the way we live and think. However, it is only after a few years you see that technology impacting us in a completely different space. So for example, it is not very popular, but look at batteries getting more efficient, cameras getting smaller, chips getting faster. Where does it impact? It impacts us in better mobile phones. So Web 3.0 will definitely not impact us in the way we anticipate, but it will definitely change how we behave in future in a lot of unseen and unimaginable places. I hope that answers, but
Very well said, sir. Yeah, very well said. So I guess that should have answered the question. We still have a couple of questions here. The very next question says, I'm particularly interested in culture and strategy. What is the simplest framework of thinking culture and strategy?
Simplest with both culture and strategy,
Yeah.
is the simplest form is deep understanding. Let me tell you my favorite line about strategy. The line is, strategy is so deeply understood that it is so simply expressed that it is understood in your absence by your employees' children. So for both culture and strategy, it is very important to understand how deep both culture and strategy go, and what is your understanding and how do your people understand your culture and strategy. Strategy, I explained to you what is what is the simplest way to understand? A lot of organizations have a great difficulty in understanding their culture, because everyone believes they are someone else, but they are actually not who they are. And the best way of understanding your organization's culture is look around your office. See what artifacts stand for your office. What are the most important artifacts that are displayed in your office? The artifacts that are displayed in your office will tell you a lot about what your organization's culture is. If the main reception of your office has a old historical piece, then it tells you every morning that your organization is rooted in its history. If your organization has a very Spartan office, it tells you very, very clearly that this organization is driven by cost consciousness. It is very, very difficult to have a culture that is different from the artifacts in your office. People might speak about a different culture, but if the artifacts in your office do not sync with the spoken word of culture, then your culture is very different from what it is, and that is your first stumbling block. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess it does. Thank you so very much, Anshuman. I really thank you for so much in-depth you have thrown into this. And the next question is, VUCA, I think from that, I guess that should mean volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I guess that should be, it's an acronym, acronym. Applies in investigating company culture. What I understand from this question, it does VUCA applies in investigating company culture? That's the question from Jeffrey.
Well, VUCA, it is company's culture that applies on VUCA or not is the question. There are a lot of organizations, lot of good organizations fold under first onslaught of competition. Let's say BlackBerry, let's see Nokia. What happened to them? They folded under the first onslaught of competition. The moment their markets became uncertain, they were unable to rediscover themselves and move ahead. So I don't think it's the other way around, that whether you investigate culture on VUCA, it is the other way around. For me, it is whether your culture is designed to handle VUCA or not. A lot of organizations, a lot of leaders do very well in a stable environment, but they don't do so well under uncertain or ambiguous environment. And by the way, COVID brought this term back into business. VUCA is a concept that comes from 1980s, if I'm not wrong. Definitely from last century, not this century. So imagine the world that we live in today was defined 30 years ago. That needs to change in itself.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have one or two comments here. All these are just but comments. This is from Ayodele. I will appreciate it if the slide can be shared with me. Yeah, thank you. I guess we'll see how it goes. You can be rest assured, as soon as that is rectified, you are going to get a copy as well. Then Fumba is asking the same thing. Will the recorded webinar be shared to participants? Well, you will get to know as soon as this is rectified, or yeah, don't worry, you'll get responses as far as that is concerned. Now, our next question is, how do you see AI aiding the fashion and lifestyle businesses in the GCC? That is one. And how does AI in any way affect the sourcing and retailing strategies in the GCC market? That's a two-in-one question, sir. First question, how do you see AI aiding the fashion and lifestyle business in the GCC? Take that first, and then I will read the second question, please. Thank you.
In fact, my answer to both is very similar to what I said a few minutes ago to another question on AI. Unfortunately, when a new technology comes in, we envision its use in what we can see. I highly encourage all of you to if you haven't already been exposed to it, read up a concept called singularity. Singularity it used to be called university, now it's called institute. Singularity Institute is based out of LA. They run a fabulous course on how technology in one obvious sphere of life disrupts completely different sphere of life. So for example, Tesla is not going to disrupt when automotive driving takes seat. It is not going to disrupt only petrol cars. No, it is not green versus non-green debate. It is going to eliminate the vehicle ownership industry completely. So because in an autonomous car, you don't need to own a vehicle. Similarly, beyond the obvious of AI reducing the cost of photo shoots and designs and so on and so forth, AI will disrupt us in a completely unknown manner. And unfortunately, I wish I was in a position to comment on how it will disrupt the business beyond the obvious, which I think all of us know. It will bring down the cost of designing. It will make designing much faster. It will make customer journey on e-commerce far more easier because it will you will be able to try on a dress in a virtual world before you buy, so on and so forth. Those are the obvious. But believe me, it will not disrupt what we can see. It will disrupt something unseen. Sorry, before you take the next question, there is a comment that I or a direct message to me that says, why did you add Google in the past slide? In the slide where I have talked about businesses that went out of brands that went out of business because they didn't change. And why did I use it there? It is because look around you. We do not do Google search anymore. We do YouTube search. We do not search for things on Google. Nobody reads anything now. It is voice and video. The search that is generated on YouTube is far higher today than in Google. So we may not see, but Google has already become redundant by its own company, which is YouTube.
Interesting indeed. Interesting indeed. Okay. Now to the next question. As per your opinion, what is more resistant to adapt change, culture or attitude, and why?
Culture. I am a big believer in culture, because your attitude is your culture is sum total of all the attitudes that exists in the organizations. Having said that, there is a attitude of resistance to change that might occur because of various factors that we talked about in second or third slide, where the objective is not clear, direction is not clear. Most importantly, most people don't change because they say, what's in it for me? So it is leadership's responsibility to be able to effectively communicate to people that what is it in it for them. Having said that, from if you look from top, the biggest reason for failure to change is culture and culture alone.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question. And the next question is from Richard. What if the organization's leadership likes ad hoc method of reacting to change?
Well, then you will have ad hoc results. I mean, there are organizations who are there are tons. There's nothing wrong in being in ad hoc to your approach. There is nothing wrong in one approach or the other. Like I said, if an organization has an ad hoc approach to change, then they should be able to accept ad hoc results as well. And those results, ad hoc results, are always unpredictable. Sometimes they'll be fabulous, best change ever, and the next day it'll, in some other business that they run, it will result in terrible disaster. So if an organization believes in ad hoc changes and ad hoc results, and if you don't believe as an employee in ad hoc changes and ad hoc results, then you are at the wrong place. That is the only thing I can say. But ad hocism is a complete in a very strategic form. Someone will say that's an opportunistic behavior, right? So one has to understand if it is part of organization's culture or strategy. Let me give you a very big example, and we can debate on this till cows come home. But Elon Musk buying Twitter, was it an ad hoc behavior or an opportunistic behavior? We do not know. But it has resulted in some permanent changes. So it's a complex situation. One has to really understand. Again, same thing. What is the root of the organization's culture? If you look at Elon Musk, the root of his culture is big dream, great opportunity, amazing execution. But that his actions may look ad hoc to a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for patiently answering these questions. We really, I hope listeners are really appreciative of your responses thus far. We still have a couple of questions to go. And the next one is, in the process of change, how to overcome rigidity, to adapt new strategy, especially when it is from your seniors?
So this is a very good question. In the process of change, you have to divide the entire organization or the entire team into three sets of people. One who are to change, one who are willing to change, and one who are fence sitters. So the most important set of people to address in this entire process is the people who are fence sitters. And how do you approach the fence sitters? How do you change the attitude of fence sitters? You change the attitude of fence sitters by working on people who are your change evangelists, because those are the people who can show in a peer-to-peer review group, peer-to-peer review group, the benefits of change. And in fence sitters, the biggest group is the group that is leaning towards change but yet not made up their mind. So there also there are two groups: people who are leaning against change and who haven't made up their mind, and people who are leaning towards change and haven't made up their mind. So if you use the change evangelists or the people who have accepted change, you can definitely work through that to create greater sphere of influence and begin to slowly chip away on the fence sitters. And the best thing with fence sitters is they suffer from a group think. If they see more than one people going in one direction, a lot of them will follow and pull the team along. Now, it's a very, very difficult situation if you are for change and someone senior is not for change. It's a very, 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 very tricky tricky situation, because I'm sure the change is happening because someone above that gentleman or above that person is also driving change. So one really has to. I wish I could give you a easy way out, but obviously I'm also restricted by certain things that I can say on public forum. So maybe if you can seek me out aside, maybe I can give you some of my personal anecdotes and personal experience on how I have handled it before, and it might help. But unfortunately, I won't be able to share those experiences on this forum.
Highly appreciated, sir. Highly appreciated for those kind of kind gestures. We'll find a way to reach out, and we'll have that conversation much later. Thank you so very much for your time. I must really commend your efforts and the answers you have given thus far. Now, this takes us to the next one. After the AI revolution, do we anticipate any other technological revolution?
So I just mentioned, I've spoken a lot on AI, and I just mentioned singularity. Singularity as a concept says, singularity is the concept that says there will reach a time when human intelligence and machine intelligence will match. Now, also let me bring your attention to something very interesting, that contrary to popular belief, world's population is declining. China's population declined to its lowest levels this year. India has overtaken China as the most populous country. And I think, if I'm not wrong, the Pew data suggests that by 2027 or 2028, India's population will also begin to decline. In all certainty, India's population will begin to decline by 2030. I think outside of 3 or 4 countries in the world, which offhand I remember is Pakistan, Nigeria, and 1 or 2 more countries are the only ones whose population will continue to grow well into the second half of this century. What that means is you have machine that is getting more intelligent. Human race continues to remain intelligent, but human race continues to become older and fewer. So another 20 to 25 years from now is when the singularity magic will happen, when a very, very intelligent machine and a very, very needy human being, because it would have become much older. If just for the context, today I was reading a few days ago that in Japan's most expensive residential area, there are 20 to 25% houses that are unoccupied, and there's a Japanese term for it which I can't recollect right now. 20 to 20% houses which are unoccupied because their previous residents passed away and they do not have the next generation to move into the house. And everyone knows well that Japan is one of the most aging populations on earth. So look at AI from what it will do, not in next 5 years, what it will do in next 20 years, when world's population will go down from its present 7.7 billion. It will be much older, and machine will be much more intelligent. So what we are looking at, what most sci-fi movies are made of, we can only let our imaginations run wild. But like I said before, do not make the mistake of looking straight ahead in application of AI. The real application of AI is happening in some corner that we don't even know about, and it will take us by by storm when it comes through. In a good way, I mean. I'm not a fatalist, and I don't believe that machines will rule the world ever. But machines will make our life much more easier in times to come.
Yeah, thank you. I think I was almost taken aback because of when you were talking about giving us some historical data about the population, declining population, so I'm thinking, what do you think we should do to probably stop this from happening? The population is declining. So what do we do? Because if the population continues to decline, that means we are giving room for the machines to actually take over. So personally, what do you think can be done to ensure that, something is done about the declining population, sir?
So really nothing can be done. Because the study suggests that decline in population is directly proportional to the level of education of women in the society. In societies where women education is low, their fertility rate or number of child that they have in their childbearing period is 4 and above. Now, I can tell you the data about India. Fertility rate of women in India was 4.2, not very far ago, in 1984. And a lot of people on this call were around in 1984, and it was 4.2 odd, 4 plus. Plus in 1984. We know that India has made a lot of progress in women's education over this in last 40 years, and today it is down to the replacement rate, which is the number of births is equal to number of deaths. That also is equal to replacement rate only because 2 of the largest states which have the lowest education indicators are still way above replacement rate. So Bihar and UP being 2 states of India which have a large population, and their fertility rate is still 2.8. If these 2 states where women's education is very low were taken off India's chart, then India's fertility rate is 1.4 or 1.6 or something like that. So it is a byproduct of a very good thing that happens in the society, which is women are empowered and educated, and hence the fertility rate goes down. So we cannot do anything about it. This is just a consequence of our growth and development.
Fair enough.
Maybe.
Fair enough. Okay. All fingers crossed, but I know something is going to happen one way or the other. But fine. Now that takes us to the next question, and it reads: what would be your take on the strategy changes required by organizations to reinvent their brand/product identity to suit the post-COVID market in MENA region?
So I don't, COVID changed a lot. The famous joke, which I am sure a lot of you have heard, but I would still repeat: who brought about technological change in your organization? It was not your CEO or CTO. It was COVID. A lot of organizations. Before COVID, I'm 100% sure we would have been doing this webinar. We wouldn't have been doing this webinar. We would have been sitting in a hall and talking. So Zoom came out of nowhere, and during COVID, it was valued more than all the airlines brands in the world put together. Zoom was valued more. So what COVID has brought is extreme challenge in terms of supply chain, because supply chain still is a constraint. It has brought extreme challenge in terms of inflation. Cost of goods have gone through the roof, and it has brought some amazing opportunities to to be able to use technology for better results. So to answer your question, any organization worth its salt has to look at how it is. Does it work in an industry where margins are wafer thin? Because inflation is here to stay. That means products are going to become more and more expensive as we go along, and hence, if a company works in an industry where margins are wafer thin, then they are really in danger, and one needs to diversify. Similarly, on supply chain, is your supply chain constantly is completely based out of China or one country? Because what COVID has shown to all of us is that it is very much possible for a country or a route to get completely locked down and disrupt your supply chain. So every organization needs to look at diversifying its supply chain, diversifying its business models, diversifying into new industries in which it does business. So that I think is the critical takeaway from what COVID has done. Disrupt your business. Every organization has to look at what Gillette does very well. Gillette disrupts its own product or business before its competition does, or any external factor does. So definitely, we would go back to the previous question and say this is the real VUCA world, and what you have to look for disruptions, opportunities to disrupt your own business.
Wow. Okay. And I have, I think this is the last question so far, but it's a bit lengthy one, so I'm going to read through. It said, I'm in legal business. I think that's what it means. Before COVID-19 pandemic, every lawyer was preoccupied with getting the best office space available in a better address. So things have changed now. Lawyers work virtually and from home. So what is the future of landlord and their space? Is there any future of office rental business?
Absolutely. Real estate is going to stay. Office workplace is definitely going to change from what it used to be, before. There will be more virtual opportunities, but there will be more virtual workspaces. But you're definitely still going to need workspaces. Work from home. Well, work from home is still going on, but definitely work from home is not ideal. Work remotely is ideal. So what you're looking at as an outcome of post-COVID world is that a lawyer sitting in London will be able to argue in a court in Dubai. But that does not mean that a lawyer cutting onions in his kitchen will be able to argue his case in Dubai. He will still need to be in a proper workplace where kids are not crying, dogs are not barking, and if you're in an Indian household, onions are not frying. So one needs to have a good work environment to succeed. What post COVID world has done is it has increased our opportunity to engage in more different geographies. Simply that, nothing else.
Thank you. I really appreciate your efforts thus far. Thank you so very much for taking our time to be with us today. And I know a lot of us, or if not all of us, are learning one or two things from you, because it speaks from the volume of questions you have answered, have come in through this conversation. While we are still waiting for more questions to come, I want to ask you this. Let me just ask you a very personal question. Now, what do you think should drive change? Is it from I know you were before you became the boss, you were once an employee. Now you are sitting in the Oval Office, pardon the use of terms here. But so who do you think should drive change from the part of the employee and also from the part as a boss? So which do you think should drive change in the real sense?
So the responsibility of driving change definitely lies at the top. Because from where the leader sits, his vision is far longer, because of having the ability to sit at a higher level. One can see further. So he is the captain of the ship. The team members do not have the same vision. So because it's not that they're limited by their ability to see, but from where they are, they can see only thus far, even if they're very visionary. And hence, if you leave the initiative of change to your employees, then you will get pulled in many directions, many different directions. So the responsibility of driving change lays with the leader, and it is leader's responsibility to communicate regularly, strongly, clearly, routinely to all their team members why is there a need to change, what is in it for the employee if they change, and where will they reach after change? What is the destination of the change? Most leaders forget that they are very passionate about their change, but they're very weak in their communication of these things, their objective, the reason, and how will the life be better for everyone if they embrace change.
So it will be right to say categorically that there's a relationship between understanding the vision and changing, right?
Yes. So Jack Welch says this very often, that I repeat my mission and vision to my employees so many times that I get tired of hearing my voice myself. So he says the only responsibility that a CEO has is to communicate the mission and vision and goals again and again and again and again, even at the cost of sounding boring or irritating, but the leader has to communicate his mission, vision, and goals, whether it is for change, whether it is for consistency, whether it is for continuity, again and again and again.
Highly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone that have maybe one or two questions or contributions to put across here? You're welcome. The floor is still open. We still have a couple of minutes at hand. So please, if you have some doubts, questions, concerns, please feel free to write it in the Q&A session. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. We got a beautiful comment here. It said, fantastic webinar. Thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate such comments. Keep them coming, keep them. But this time is for question and answer. And it's really a wonderful time having a special guest today in your capacity to really do justice to this topic. And sir, if it's not too much to ask, I think we will look forward to having you back here to come and give us some strategies to implement such changes, if it's okay. Though we're still going to get back to you on that, but I'm anticipating that we'll need to have you come back here to tell us strategies to best implement such changes, if it's not too much to ask, sir. Thank you so very much again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was a very, very engaging session, and I'll be happy to come back and speak to you guys whenever time permits. Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me, and thanks everyone for the questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there any question? And Barija, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Very just comment. Is there anything you want to add before we call it a day tonight?
Yes, sure. I think we have one last question. Maybe let's go ahead with that one last question, and then I will add my thoughts.
Sure. We'll take one last question.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't see this come. Sorry, I apologize. Do you think humanity must adapt a new lifestyle change in order to achieve set targets and the goals in the organization?
Whether you adapt new lifestyle or
Yes.
strategies to achieve goals in an organization is not important. As you grow and as our bodies change, I am addressing it at a more fundamental level. It is very important to keep evaluating and re-evaluating where are you headed, and do you have the tools to keep you give you company on your journey or not? Because the tools that we set out on a journey may not be adequate for us when we move to the next level. A bit unrelated, but something that's very close to my heart, is as a human being, are you fitter than you were last year or not? Is the question that you have to ask yourself. Organizations will do fine if you do fine for yourself. So drive change within you to equip yourself with the challenges that come in life. That is the more important question here that I would want to address.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm really indeed humbled, and I tell you something, this is very interesting and interactive as well. So this is a comment coming from Richard. Richard, thank you so much. You said this is wonderful and it's 100%. Thank you so much for finding time to attend our webinars. Oh, yeah. There's a request here from Yota. Please, recorded section, please. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see what happens. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate the fact that you guys are really enjoying this and you really take time to, you really want such videos. Okay. Thank you. We'll see what happens. Now, before we call it a day, finally, I want to remind you that Eaton Business School, we are into a couple of things that we do, and we want to be one of the best business school around the globe in the nearest future, in the next few months. We are not waiting for the years because we're in a hurry to impact nations. We're in a hurry to impact humanity, and we're in a hurry to ensure that everyone, every executive, regardless of your cadre or structure in any organization, you are skilled and you get the best value in terms of MBA programs, in terms of postgraduate diploma programs, in terms of professional diploma program, and the DBA program. You see, there's Eaton Business School is a place of choice. It's a place of quality in terms of faculty interaction, in terms of online classes, in terms of flexibilities, in terms of understanding, in terms of being there, in terms of support, in terms of general administration. We are there to serve your educational need. We don't just serve, we are there for you. We run a family kind of educational setting where your need is our driven purpose. And in other words, we are just here to ensure that you have quality online education anywhere you are in the world. No wonder we are spread over 98 nations of the globe, and we are still expanding. So feel free to call your advisors. Feel free to drop a message. Feel free to drop your email. If you don't have an advisor yet, just drop your email address and be rest assured that one advisor is going to definitely get in touch with you. Please take advantage of our offerings and you'll be glad you did. With that, I'm going to say thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. We look forward to seeing you in our next one. Thank you so much. Our chief guest today, Anshuman, thank you so very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be the host of you today. Thank you so much for taking our time to be here with us. Thank you again, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Now, if it's not too much, I heard something about sketches and I saw in your profile. If it's not too much to ask off the record, I can visit one of your showroom and I just give them your name. My size is size 44. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and I really appreciate that. On that note, I want to say have a awesome evening, and don't forget to drop your number, drop your email, and drop your name. Someone will get to you. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.